What is going on, guys? It's the Saucy Sock here with another video, and in this one we're going to be talking about what we need to see in college football 26. Now, we know that college football 26 is coming. They've officially announced it, and there's just a lot of things that college football 25 needs to fix, and that just haven't been touched. I think we can all agree on that. However, it just looks like it's just not going to happen. It looks like our next game is going to be where we're going to be able to find a lot of the fixes and the adjustments that we really need if this game really wants to go and reach its full potential. Now, don't get me wrong, college football 25 has been extremely fun for me. This is the most fun I've had on a football game in a very, very long time. And although there are a lot of gameplay issues that I've ran into, and I'm sure a lot of y'all have ran into, I'm still able to have a great time when I play this game, and I actually feel like I have a video game that I really enjoy playing now. A lot of other video games have just been absolute garbage the past 5 years or so, and it just feels like games just don't hit the same. It is nice to finally have a college football game that actually is playable and enjoyable. But nonetheless, we still got to talk about some things that college football 26 needs to have, or else this game probably will not reach its full potential and not retain a lot of its players that the game is trying to, go after. So enough talking about that stuff. Let's go ahead and get into it. The number one thing that I think college football 26 needs to address, and they absolutely have to fix, is pursuit angles. Now, a lot of people will complain and say that, well, pursuit angles are just dependent on the player, and that's just not true. I mean, I've seen the best safeties in the game, from Caleb Downs to Malachi Starks to name whoever, 90 overall safety or whoever, just completely run themselves out of the play. They'll be in position to make the tackle, but take such a bad pursuit angle that they run themselves out of the play, and the next thing you know, the opposing team wide receiver is just running around you and taking it to the house for 6 points. It just shouldn't be a thing. Now, I understand if it's like a linebacker that's a low overall, or maybe a cornerback or someone with a really low overall, I can understand that pursuit angles can be like its own stat, but a 90 overall player should not be taking bad pursuit angles. Like, it should just never be a thing. And there's just been too many times where you really can't click on to a player because you're putting yourselves at risk. It already is hard enough to make user tackles in this game. So sometimes you kind of got to rely on that computer to make that tackle for you, as you're trying to use another player to take away an angle, and you're just hoping that the computer will take away the other angle. It's stuff like that. So that's always the common argument that I hear about. Well, if you're tired of pursuit angles being bad, why don't you just click on? Well, I mean, have you played this game at all? Like, it's hard to make user tackles. Like, it really is, especially when you're going against someone that's really good with the stick. Pause. It's just really hard to do, and the CPU just needs to do a better job and have better attack angles. It's got to be fixed in the next college football game. Next thing I want to talk about, since I'm an online dynasty player, this might be a little more meaningful to me than it might be to the average person, but this is the ability to manipulate or customize stadium polls. Now, I think stadium polls was a great feature in hindsight. I think it really does add a realistic element to the game of football. As playing on the road, especially in college, is just a very difficult thing to do. You're playing at Georgia at a 7:30 game, or Alabama or Michigan or LSU or whoever, name whatever big giant school you want to, SEC, Big Ten. It's hard to play there at these stadiums at nighttime. However, in online dynasty, there's occasions where you're already so mismatched from teams, like, it's not even funny. And then on top of that, you're already playing against a user that's really, really good, to the point where, like, it's almost impossible to take a lower tier team and go on the road and beat that high tier team with a really good user. And it's because the stadium polls feature, a lot of times you can't even make audibles. I don't really have much of a problem with the lines, squiggling when you're showing your play art, but you got to be able to at least let us make audibles, or at least give us the option to customize stadium polls and let us decide how intense we want it to be. I really don't want to be in a situation where I'm putting a player that's already at a major disadvantage and putting him in a situation where he can't make a singular audible. Now, a lot of people might not agree with that, but that personally is something that I would like to see. At least give us the option to customize it to whether we can leave it as intense as it is now, or at least give us the ability to make an audible if we want to, and take that feature out. Now, the third thing, I'm also an online player. For offline people, this probably isn't a big deal. But holy shit, can we please get formation subs and a preset depth chart? every single game that you play online, you have to set your own depth chart that never saves for you, and there is no way that you could preset a depth chart for whatever team you may use, which requires you to load up a game, and as soon as you kick off, you got to pause, spend 30 seconds to a minute setting a depth chart. Now, 30 seconds to a minute doesn't sound bad, but you got to remember, this is every single game that you have to do this. It's annoying, it's tedious. Sometimes you play against people who don't set a depth chart, and when you pause it, they'll instantly try to resume. And then sometimes you have to burn a timeout and pause it for the second time just so you can get your depth chart set up. It's just an absolute mess that can literally be all avoided as long as they give us the ability to preset our depth chart and to have our formation subs. Now, again, I know there's a lot of offline people that probably do not care. I'll talk about some more offline stuff here in a little bit, but they have got to give us the ability to preset these depth charts. Now, for your offline people, this will probably pertain to you a little bit more, as well as online users as well that play in dynasties. I really want to see the ability, or not even the ability, but the feature for a 3:30 game. If a game starts at 3:30, it's typically going to end at about 7:30-ish, give or take. But it's dark by that time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's daytime at 3:30 and the game finishes at 7, there should be a visual change in how the sky looks and how dark it gets outside. Again, is this the biggest deal in the world? No, absolutely not. But at the same time, it just adds another sense of realism to the game that just feels like it would make sense to have, especially in a game coming out in 2025. You know, having dynamic weather, having maybe a game start off cloudy and then rain picks up as the game goes on. I mean, it's just little things like that that might not be game breaking or a deal breaker to a lot of people, but it's just something that would be really cool to see. And I really hope EA takes that into consideration, as I feel like they already have a pretty good baseline and foundation for how they want the game to play out. I feel like in this game, they could probably add in a little more of those realism elements, such as the weather and the time changes and things of that nature. That way, it just feels like we're more in a simulated, you know, just real sense of gameplay. Now, of course, this one's a pretty common one. This is why I kind of put it towards the back end of the video, just because everyone hears about this. But yes, there's got to be a high school road to glory. Now, I want to be completely honest with y'all. I do not care about Road to Glory anymore. I used to back in the day when I played NCAA 14, but Road to Glory just really hasn't struck me as anything that I would really be interested in this game. Not saying that is bad, or there's nothing against anyone that wants to play it, but particularly for me, I like to play online. However, I do hear and see the complaints from Road to Glory players, and I do think it is kind of lame that you can't start off in high school and go from there. So they got to add that as a feature. And as well, and another thing I'm going to kind of add into for offline users and for dynasties and Road to Glory, I think this could be added for either game mode. I think there's got to be a bigger playoff customization option. Yes, it's great to have a 12-team playoff and whatnot, but we want to be able to customize. We want to be able to have the ability to have as much customization as possible. And this doesn't even go for dynasty. I mean, this goes for coaches. This goes for players. I feel like you should be able to edit player ratings. Like, that's been a thing. Now, I have realized you can't edit players that currently exist in the game, but the virtually added players that come out of high school in like year 2 or 3 of the dynasties, you can actually edit. But I feel like you should be able to edit everyone from day one, and you should also have the ability to edit your playoffs. That way you could have a 64-team playoff or a 134-team playoff and so on and so forth. You know, I just want the option to be able to customize and do whatever we want. That's what really is going to make this game super fun. You know, we all have different imaginations. We all have different ways we want to play the game. We all want to put ourselves in different scenarios. And being able to customize things like that is just a big deal, you know, and it really just adds a sense of, A, the game cares about how we feel when we play the game, and B, it just feels nice when you feel like you have very little limitations to how you play a game, right? So those are just a couple things I wanted to add into. Again, these are for my offline people. I know I started off with a lot of online features, but there's just so many more things that this game could add to really improve both online and offline that can be taken care of, you know, with 1 or 2 things. Honestly, this is one of the most important ones to me. I don't know why I kind of saved this for the last one. I just slipped my mind as I started recording this video. But for me, as a guy who plays a lot of online regs, the most important thing that I want to see is the ability to use any playbook with any team. Now, there's a lot of cases that people make that get kind of upset that people only use one or two different teams, Alabama being one of them, Ohio State being another. Name any other team that you think might join that list. But those of y'all who play online regs, it does get kind of stale playing the same teams over and over again. And I think a part of it too is not really that people don't want to use a bad team. It just has a lot to do with the playbooks. Like, for example, I used Alabama for a majority portion of my online regs career in college football 25. It really wasn't because of the Alabama roster, though. It was more because I just got so used to using their playbook that I just didn't want to change and go elsewhere. Y'all know how important it is to have a comfort zone and understand a playbook, from front to back. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what team you use. As long as you can take that playbook into another team, you can make it work. I'm a big believer that this game is not about the team you use. It's all about your scheme. You can make tier 3 or tier 4 teams almost unbeatable if you can create a good scheme within that team. So I really hope they give us that feature. I feel like it would add at least some more variety, in my opinion, and it'll allow people to use different teams. There's just some playbooks in this game that just aren't as good as others. And I get when you have this many different teams, that's going to be the case. But if you want people to use different teams and you don't want to see the same team used over and over again, they got to give us the ability to take a playbook of our desire and use it with a different team. And I'm cool with them even creating a separate mode. Like, you could have a ranked mode, like a classic ranked mode, where you have to use the playbook for that specific team. And then you can go and you do your road to CFP from there. And they could also add another ranked mode, giving people the ability to use their own playbook or to use a playbook for a different team. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be able to take a playbook that you want to use to a different team. You could separate the game modes. I don't care how they do it. I just want to be able to have the option. Like, I want to, in this college football 25 game, I want to take Alabama's playbook and take it to Florida. Or I want to take Georgia's playbook and take it to Alabama. So on and so forth. It's just something that I wish, it's just a customization feature. Like, I just feel like I'm limited to what I can do. And I talked about it earlier in this video. I feel like this game would be at its best and at its peak if they just give us the option to customize and give us options to where we don't feel limited to something. And I really feel like that's something they need to focus on in college football 26. Give the players the ability to customize everything, from online to offline. How many teams in the playoffs do we want? What playbook do I want to use with this team? Let the opportunities be endless. That's going to save us from getting burnt out. I don't like using Alabama 24/7 online. I hate using the same playbook and running the same scheme over and over again, or at least with the same team. Let me use that scheme with a different team, with a different set of players. It just keeps the game fresh. It just gives me another opportunity that I can buy myself a couple of weeks with of having fun because it's something new. I'm not doing the same thing over and over again. Now look, there's a ton of other things that they could be adding to this game as well, and I know there's a lot of other people that probably have things higher on their priority list than I would per se. So feel free to please leave down below in the comment sections anything that I missed that you'd want to see in the game. I know there's tons of other stuff that could be added that a lot of y'all probably want more so than me. And I'm really curious to hear what y'all have to say about it too. What route does college football 26 need to go in? What are some things that they have to do to improve this game to take a step up from college football 25? Because we can all agree, as fun as college football 25 has been, there's always room for improvement. And there's a lot of room for improvement. Let's be honest with ourselves here. If this college football game never got discontinued, and this is the product that came out, will we really be saying that this is a good game? Like, let's be real with ourselves here. There's definitely a feeling of new that I think propelled this game and kind of avoiding some criticism. But because this game's been out for so long now, I think it's safe to say that there is room for improvement. There is ways we can improve this game. There are some things with this game that just simply are not good. Let's just call it how it is. There's some gameplay features that are not good. There's some customization options that are very, very lame. This game isn't perfect. It's not a 10 out of 10 game by any means. It's fun, but it can be so much better. So leave down below in the comment section what you guys think, and I'll be sure to definitely take a look at it. I hope you guys enjoyed this style of video. I kind of just going to be doing a bunch of different things with this channel. It's not going to be just gameplay. It's not going to be just tips. It's not going to be just me talking like this. It's going to be a variety and combination of all these things. Be sure to follow my Twitch TV, playbooks.com/saucysock with 2 Ks. I'll link it down below in the description. I hope you guys have a good day. Hope you guys enjoy your week, and I'll see you in the next video.